Thank you. It's good to be here. I've been here for the first 2 days and thrilled to be here again today. We're all here because we care about social impact. Christy Udis and I, Christy's sitting in the back, Christy and I have spent our careers thinking about social impact, working on social impact. And on your tables, there's some copies of this book, which have been provided kindly by Dasra, which is being launched. The Indian edition of the book is being launched at this conference. Just arrived in the United States just a couple of days before we left. And so I wanted to just take a few minutes and talk to you about the book and tell you a little bit about it and talk about why we wrote it and a little bit about its contents. So as I said, we've spent our careers thinking about social impact. We're both business school professors. I spent a number of years, I was on the Harvard Business School faculty twice. I was at Stanford Business School. I'm currently at Rice University in Houston, Texas. Christy's a professor at the Portland State University in Oregon. And I think that we focused our careers on two things, on social impact and on performance measurement. So on the social impact side, we've worked with corporations, corporate social responsibility, we've worked with nonprofits, we've worked with foundations, we've worked with philanthropists. For me, when we think about social impact, the question is much the same. That is, if a corporation's corporate social responsibility program, or if it's an NGO, or a foundation investing in an NGO, or a philanthropist providing money, what we want is we want to get the greatest social impact. We want to help improve society. So, based on, again, years of work that we've done a lot with corporations. Christy and I have recently worked with Nike and Procter & Gamble and Apple and Nissan, a lot of the leading corporations in the world. We've worked a lot with NGOs and foundations. And we felt that we wanted to try to pull this together to talk about social impact, how to improve social impact, and how to know whether we are achieving social impact. Certainly, all of us recognize that what's been happening over the last few years particularly is that organizations are demanding more accountability. The accountability is certainly one piece of it. But for us, more important than even the accountability is the idea of using measurement to improve the organizations, to learn what we're doing well and not so well, and to take action, to change behavior, to do it better. So we embarked on this project 2 years ago. We started off thinking this is a measurement project. We're going to try to pull together all that's being done on measurement, put it in one place, because we felt there wasn't a comprehensive material that was usable by foundations, individual investors, impact investors, philanthropists, and corporations. It's interesting that as we embarked on this, we found that there was more that was needed because our goal was to improve, not just measure. What we found is that many of the organizations, many of the individuals needed some earlier work on clarity of objectives, what is often called the logic model, or sometimes a theory of change. What is it that we want to invest? We can invest dollars, money, but we can also invest our time, our expertise, our reputation. There are many things that we can invest, and we ought to think more broadly about what we can do. Why are we investing? So certainly social impact is a part of it. Maybe it's all of it. But maybe it's also around affiliation. I put some money into a charity, into a cause, because somebody I know died of this terrible disease. I put some money into a cause because somebody I work with, a business associate, said, why don't you do that? Why don't you contribute to my charity? Why don't you come to my dinner? So there are many reasons we do this. So first, from my perspective, what we need to do is think carefully about why we're doing this. What is our objective? What are we trying to get out of this? Again, I assume the social impact is one of them, one part of this. Secondly, I think we need to think about where we can make the most impact ourselves. So we all have capabilities. I think we want to invest, and I use the term invest, whether we're making impact investments in social enterprises, social businesses, or whether we're donating, because we are investing. We're investing our time and our money, hoping to get a return. And the return is not that we expect to get richer with more money, but that we hope that there will be more benefit to society. So how do we decide where to invest? And that's really what the kinds of things that we try to look at here. What did we do? This project involved the largest field project done in this area, including India. We were here a year ago, and Dasra was kind enough, and some of you we met with last year when we were here. NGOs, foundations, philanthropists. We also were in the United States and the UK with some of the most notable foundations and high net worth individuals. We were in Seattle with the Gates Foundation. We were with Hewlett Foundation, the CEO of Hewlett Foundation in the Bay Area, Skoll Foundation, Omidyar, Robert Woods Johnson, which is Johnson & Johnson money, et cetera, and a lot of smaller ones. In the UK, we're with the Children's Investment Fund Foundation, a wonderful foundation focused on kids. 60 organizations we interviewed. In addition, we have about another 100 organizations that we talk about in the book, trying to provide lots of examples of different ways to measure social impact and to improve social impact. To me, this is absolutely critical. You're here today because you care. You're putting your resources, and again, time, money, other assets, to work because you care. For me, this is about how do we get the best impacts from the money we are investing. And that can be done. So it's how do you get the, it's figuring out clearly what you want to do. Figuring out clearly what are the best processes to achieve those impacts, and then measuring it. Defining success, figuring out how to get success, and measuring success. Now that sounds pretty straightforward. What I can report to you is too many organizations have trouble on the front end of that. So yes, it's partly about measurement, but it's more about, or it's firstly about, are you really clear about what you're trying to achieve? So I can measure these things, and I talked a little bit about this for those of you who were here yesterday. I've done projects where we've measured women's empowerment. I've worked on projects I talked about yesterday about measuring spirituality. We can do that if what we've done is clearly defined what we mean by empowerment and what we mean by spirituality. I work with organizations and they tell me, I want better students. Well, that's great. I mean, that's fine. Sounds good. What does it mean, a better student? Does that mean a taller student? Does it mean a smarter student? Student with better math scores? A student that's more employable, that's able to create their own jobs. Christy and I have spent the last 10 years particularly, mostly in developing countries. We've been to Africa about 15 times, sub-Saharan Africa. We've been through Asia and South America. We've done work on education and health and microfinance and micro-entrepreneurship. And people talk to us about what they're trying to do, and there's a lack of clarity. If it's not clear what it is you're trying to do, I don't know how you develop processes. And so that I would say to the NGOs. I would say the same to the foundations, and I would say the same to the individual investors. I think you have to be clear to yourself and to those you're investing in about what you're trying to get out of this and what you expect the organization to get out, and there ought to be an alignment. If an organization says to you, we want better students, I think you can't leave it at that. What do you mean by better students? And what processes are you going to have? And then you do what in the nonprofit world we call a logic model. Those of you in the business world know we call it a causal linkage model or a strategy map or something where there's a careful link. So, I don't want to tell you all the things in the book. There's lots of great stories, lots of interesting stories of great organizations. So I want you to read it, and Dasra was kind enough to put it out here for you to take home, so you don't even have to buy it. HarperCollins India is selling it, but I don't think that's necessary for most of you. What I guess my message is, I think this is about social impact, and whether you're a corporation, whether you're a nonprofit, whether you're a foundation, whether you're an impact investor, whether you're an individual philanthropist, it's absolutely critical. That's what this whole program is about improving social impact. And so you can't do that unless you know what your social impact is, and I think that's what this is about. So I hope you will find the book of interest. Christy and I are here all day if anybody wants to discuss it further. And I want to thank you very much for your attention. I'm always, as a professor, I'm always reluctant to take a speaking spot right before lunch because I know the danger of that. So I think with that, I'm going to end now. I want to thank you very much and turn it back to Nira.